Okay, I'm joined by Jill Gevargizian. I hope I got that right. Close enough.
You got it.
Thank you. Director of The Stylist, the very acclaimed The Stylist, which has already done wonders at various film festivals, both sides of the pond. So, Jill, my first question is, I know that originally this started off as a short film, which was shown as part of the Theria Film Festival and is available on their anthology series. How difficult was it to bridge from producing a short to actually getting into a feature?
It was a challenge. In fact, we shot the short film. It's now 6 years ago, which is kind of, I don't know what's happened. How's that much time passed? So it was always something I wanted to do in a feature length, but I knew I needed more experience at the time directing before I try to make that jump. And so we knew like it worked in a short as well. So started with that and started to write the feature. And, one thing I learned is that you need to be prepared kind of for the best case scenario. I wish I would have had the script, ready, say like right when the short came out. We had lots of interest in if it was a feature, and we just weren't ready to really show anything like a script to anyone yet, and struggled to try to get it made. We kept, like have all those false starts where you think you're so close, but decided a little over a year ago to just kind of like somehow freaking make it happen on our own, and started with a Kickstarter and then kind of pieced the rest of it together as we made the film. And it was, kind of just life kicked me in the ass again about it. It was like time is ticking and you never know what's going to happen. I'm like dying to make this movie. So I feel like it was like sheer will that finally got us all. Is most of the team from the short film came back, and the main core of us produced it together from the short, and it's like nothing was going to stop us once we decided we were going to make it. But it was incredibly challenging to not definitely.
I can imagine. There's another film I saw last year called Green Light, which had sort of a bit of a home truth. It was all about sort of filmmaking in itself. And it was a home truth in there where it said that no studio will allow you to make a feature until you've already made a feature. It's a sort of weird sort of catch-22 sort of situation. And we talked to sort of various short filmmakers as well. So yeah, I can definitely appreciate that being a challenge. Now, Najara Townsend plays Claire in both the short and the feature. Was there any question about whether or not she would reprise the role?
Not in my mind and heart. I was, she to me just brought to life my dream vision of Claire, and somehow, rides this line that I was really internally battling with. I was wondering, I really wanted her to feel real and relatable on a human level, but she's also doing these kind of very absurd kind of theatrical things. And so internally I was battling with how is that going to come across. And I think we owe so much to how it works to Najara's performance, who she's like become Claire in my mind.
Literally.
But yeah, I feel like you couldn't have convinced me with $1 million to cast someone else, because she just is incredible.
I imagine when you were writing the full feature, you would have had her in mind straight away, wouldn't you? So you'd have been writing around her sort of mannerisms and sort of things like that. And
she was really, really involved in the whole process. Like she was reading our drafts and giving notes. And so she's kind of she really has helped build the character with us. And so she feels like hours together, and we kind of both understand her, and it's really exciting. A unique situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a fascinating character, for sure, because on the one hand, she's doing some pretty horrible things, but you get the sense that she doesn't really have a lot of control over that. It's an obsession. It's a compulsion, basically, for her to try and physically become these other people. So yeah, I think sort. I mean, I don't know how it's played so far, but sort. I felt quite conflicted in my sort of sympathies towards her. On the one hand, just
Yeah.
like because she's a lovely person, but at the same time, you're kind of doing these horrible things as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot to convey and to get across, I think. So yeah, definitely. And there are times where you do really sort of feel for the character. There's that moment in the in the toilets at the bridal shower, and she overhears that conversation. You think, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, because those people would be the traditional victims, for any sort of normal sort of
Yeah.
this sort of film. They would be the traditional, yeah, that's the snarky bitch, thank God she got offed or whatever. But some a lot of the victims in this film are completely innocent and likable people. I mean, well, I'm not going to go into who my examples because I don't want to spoil it. So you feel they didn't earn their deaths, if you see what I mean, which is what normally would
Yeah.
happen in a horror film, which sort of adds to the argument that Claire is under this sort of psychotic obsession, this compulsion to actually fulfill in each time.
Yeah.
It's a ritual for her, basically.
Yeah. The way you say you feel conflicted, that's kind of the hope that I hope people would feel, that it's never even in real life that simple of just someone that did something horrible and then they're a monster. It can be seen from both ways. It doesn't excuse what they've done, but I think there's something to understanding how horrible things happen and maybe trying to get to the root of these problems versus just calling people monsters and like throwing them away. Is kind of the idea behind that. Because I definitely don't want to excuse that behavior just because something bad happened to you in your life. That doesn't, make it okay to kill people by any means, but that it's just never that black and white or simple. Yeah.
I think there comes a point in the film where she does try to sort of take control of it, and she sort of boards up the cellar. Basically, so it's her kind of way of saying, right, I'm trying to be a new person. I'm trying to behave. I'm not taking responsibility for what I've done before, but let's try and move forward. It's that sort of element to it. But yeah, no, she's a fun character. Yeah. I want to sort of touch on a couple of the sort of technical aspects of the film. Now, this probably, for most people, I think this would seem incredibly innocuous, but a lot of the time we're observing Claire through mirrors in the film, and in particular when she's in the car, you've got the camera set up on the outside of the car looking at her through the wing mirror, which as I said, for most people that might seem like par for the course, but to me it came across as a very sort of technical shot, and I was just wondering if anything like that had any, was there any sort of difficulties sort of pulling that sort of thing off?
Yeah, we, even since the short, it was always like our intention to shoot through mirror, like for the camera to either be shooting through the mirror or be acting as the mirror, as much as possible, because being in that world, like as a hairstylist, you're always looking into a mirror, even while you're working. It's like you're always facing yourself in some way. And this is so much about identity and her not being able to face herself that we wanted that to be just all over the place. And we went crazy with mirrors. But that shot you're specifically talking about there's this zoom on the side mirror on the car is so cool, and that's specifically something we did not plan to do. We were shooting all this driving stuff the last day, and we wanted to shoot on the mirror, but he was really just zooming to get there and then just get that shot up close. But while he's doing it, I think my DP is like, that looks so awesome. Like, keep zooming, keep that speed. Who never would have knew we'd use it in the film. I love that shot.
Yeah, it works really well. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think similarly, there's another shot where the camera's, it must be like on the back of the car, sort of looking through the the rear view mirror, you know, through the back window to the rear view mirror. Yeah, so it's very technically accomplished, is what I'm trying to get around to. So you know,
Thank
which
you.
is, you know, it's that sort of thing which takes it beyond the short, because the short was that sort of one scene in the salon, basically.
Yeah.
So all that sort of stuff does take, you know, it gives it more cinematic dynamic, I think. Hopefully, I'm waffling now. Sorry.
Mirrors create challenges though, because you can't pick up anybody or the camera or a
that's right. Yeah.
or anything, and it's the whole thing.
So, I mean, your DP on this, have you used him before on your shorts?
Yeah, it's Robert Stern. He shot the short film, the Stylist short film, but we haven't worked together on anything else because we're in different cities, and I would have worked with him on everything if it made sense. But we always knew since the short, we would make the feature together. And actually, the production designer, Sarah Sharp, they're a married couple, and they worked on the short and the feature. And so it's kind of us three are the main three producers that brought this thing to life. But it's been how much time we've all sat on this together, and then have them as a team, and they actually live together and be able to work. A production designer and DP being a team is like the dream scenario.
I'm very conscious of the time. So I just want one more question, and that is to do with the actual makeup effects. Because on the one hand, they're pretty gruesome, which is great. Talking about the sort of the scalping bits. But I mean, how difficult was that to pull off? Because first of all, you've got to make it look reasonably practical to do. And second of all, you've got to make it look practical for Claire to actually wear as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was that a difficult sort of thing to marry up?
It's a very intricately planned thing for with lots of pre-production to prepare that. I think we're lucky to have the experience on the short film to prepare us for doing a lot more on this. But the short film was like one of those one-hit wonders where we don't practice any of this stuff because we don't have that's a big effect to build. It's hours to put it on someone's head. Yeah. So we just shoot the first time on, hoping it's going to look cool as it peels back. And in the short, we were all in the background, it looks so great. But so we were extra nervous, it can't be perfect again. So these were kind of different. There's only one kind of traditional scalping, but we did need to make the most challenging thing is kind of casting the actor early enough. And keeping in mind that we have to think about their hair along with their talents. Can we find a wig that's going to match their hair in our price budget, all these things. And then I give that to my special effects artist, Colleen Kaufman. And it's a layered thing, literally, of putting a bald cap over the person's actual hair. There's all these muscles she has made and blood all over them. Then we put that scalp that she's added skin to fed hair through it to try to make it as real on the edge. And so because it's so layered, you're hoping when it peels back, everything's in place and doing what we want.
It doesn't make the head look
challenges huge on set, but it all turned out freaking awesome. But those are the scariest days because you don't know exactly how it's going to go.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, it was really impressive. Because it was such a long take as well, you can actually sort of see it almost sort of coming off in one go. It's, very impressive indeed. I can imagine a few people squirming in the audience for sure for that one.
I hope so.
Yeah, Jill, thank you for your time this afternoon. I know you're quite busy with other interviews lined up, so I won't keep you. But I will get this posted up, get it top and tailed and stuff. And as I said, we'll be reviewing the Stylist nearer to its release.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.